I think that's a great idea. Why don't you call him? And so she said, okay. I said, when would now be good? She goes, right now? I said, right now, while you're in state, call him and ask his advice. And just ask him to shoot you straight. So she leaves the room. I instantly call him. True story. And I said, look, I said, Jay, I said, my daughter's doing this. She's here in LA. She's winning. I told her she's got to go to Broadway. She's got to compete with the best or she'll never know. He goes, Tony, LA is not the dance place. He's absolutely right. I said, then tell her that. I said, what? Right? So my daughter comes back, true story, and goes, he's busy. His line's busy. I said, don't give up so easily. Keep calling. So sure enough, she calls him. They have about a 45-minute to an hour conversation. She comes back in the room, and Jay says, that's exactly what should I do. I said, well, father knows best, right? So I took my little daughter, who grew up in Southern California, in Del Mar, California, by the beach, and took her to the worst season in 20 years in New York in terms of weather. It was a brutal winter, and got her set up in this little apartment, and then she had to go to work to help support it, and then I arranged for the coaches for her, and she worked her tail off. And I said to her, honey, I don't know. I believe you have the skill to be a great dancer on Broadway, but I'm your father. I'm biased. The only way you're going to know is put yourself in the arena and compete and learn. And so I said, I just don't want you to have regret. And you're going to have regret if you don't take action. So she did. And a few months went by. In the beginning, it was pretty rough. She'd call, and she felt lonely, and it was tough, and just kept encouraging her. And then I was coming to New York, and I let her know I was coming in about 4 weeks. And she goes, well, Dad, let me surprise you. I want to pick you up. I said, okay, great. I get to the airport, and there's a small limousine car for me. And I'm like, wow, how'd you afford that, right? I was like, okay. And I said, yeah, you know where to go? He goes, yeah, I know. She told us where to take you. And so we go eventually past her apartment. We don't stop. She said, no. She wants you to meet you somewhere else. And we go down to the theater district, and we get to where there's this theater, and it's this play Tommy that Elton John created, Tommy, a Pinball Wizard. And there's my daughter's name. In less than 6 months, she was on Broadway starring in Tommy. How's that for an amazing turnaround, ladies and gentlemen? Give it up for Jolie. So proud of her. And, I'd love to take credit, but it's all her gifts and skills. But I got her to be in the environment. I got her to push through. I got her to stretch herself, do what she didn't want to do. And she's took it all from there and made it happen. And now she's made a bunch of Netflix series, and I've got 2 grandsons with her, and she's just a beautiful soul. I'm so proud of her, even if she wasn't my daughter. So it's all about massive action. It's about doing something now, not in the future. The road to someday leads to a town called nowhere. It doesn't exist. You got to do it now or don't do it at all. And don't kid yourself. If you don't do something now, you won't. You'll get out of state. And then the last point that all these people have that I think really made them who they are, the people examples they gave you and so many more that I know, is they wanted something for more than just themselves. Jared was talking about his son. Did you notice that? And, you look around and you see Jeffrey's want to help people locally in his community. And, you could go through each person. They've got something they want to serve. And it's one of the more important lessons I experienced in my life, because I can remember real early in my career, I took off. I had so much belief. I wanted people's lives to change. I went to work for Jim Rohn, and I'd do these talks, and I'd go meet people and convince them to go see him and go for the big program he did, not just the 3 hours. He did this 3-day program. I told you it was like $1,200. It would be $10,000 in today's dollars. But I believed so much, and I did well in the beginning, but also I convinced people, I went and got money from the bank to loan me the money. I had told you the story, so I thought anybody could do that. Well, when I was there, a lot of people got in state, but then some people, they didn't do it. They canceled their order, bounced their check. And then the company pulled me in, and they didn't believe me. They thought that maybe I was lying or faking or manipulating something, so they didn't pay me for 2 months. Now, this is when I had no money. And so all of a sudden, I couldn't pay my rent. I was eating pasta. I'd go get ketchup at McDonald's and use that as my sauce for the pasta because I literally had no money. And I remember I was driving, I had a little bit of gas left, and I was driving to Orange County each day and doing this business, and I was so frustrated, I was so overwhelmed, and I was sad and angry. And I don't know if you've been in that place where you get really sad and you get angry and you get sad. Anybody been in that little cycle back and forth with your life? And
And it was near midnight. I was on this 57 freeway, it's called, and outside the city called Pomona, California, which was not a nice community at that time. And there's almost nobody on the freeway, and I kept asking myself, God, what's going on? Why is this happening to me? You know, I had so much momentum, and what's happened? And then I got it, and I literally pulled over on the side of the freeway into the side lane there, you know, off